Ted Cruz, real quick, and then I actually do have another thing in politics to talk about after
All
this.
right.
I know I said we were
Well,
just going to
Ted Cruz is gonna be as small as he is, so it's not gonna be that long. Ted Cruz says so. Ted Cruz, as you all know, he's a representative of Texas. Yeah, he decided to go to Cancun, right, during his state's winter storm. Like where basically has it ever been declared as a state of emergency yet? It has, right?
I'm sure it has. Yeah.
Okay, so his state is going through a state of emergency, and he decides to go to Cancun. He states, with school canceled for the week, our girls asked to take a trip with friends. That doesn't sound elitist at all. Wanting to be a good dad, I flew down with them last night and I'm flying back this afternoon. And he says that he's been in communication with people. And one, I want to point out the fact that Ted Cruz threw his daughter under the bus and said, don't blame me. I'm just trying to be a good dad because my daughter. So this guy nuts over a guy who called his wife ugly, said his dad probably killed JFK, and now he just threw his daughter under the bus. We said it once, we'll say it again. Ted Cruz is the biggest cuck in the United States of America.
Yeah, I think that's the cuck trifecta. So, no, that's absolutely terrible from him. And I love that in the pictures that they snapped when he was coming back from Cancun. Okay, the pictures they snapped when he was going was like a gray mask that he was wearing because it is COVID time, so you still got to wear a mask. And the pictures that they snapped when he was coming back, same gray mask, but now it's got a Texas state flag on it. It's like, really, bro? So yeah, man, get out of here, Ted Cruz.
I just don't know how he keeps winning. Honestly, Ted Cruz has the personality of a wet paper towel. I really don't know why people keep voting for him.
Yeah.
And shave that beard. You look stupid with it.
Like he really does. I don't
and then now he has a mullet. I don't know if you saw that.
I saw a picture. I saw a side picture of it. It looked terrible. But speaking of people who love Mexico but hate Mexicans, there was a thing I heard on my way back home today as I was driving. The Biden administration the Democrats are proposing a new immigration bill that's supported by the Biden administration. And this immigration bill provides a pathway to citizenship within 8 years for people who came in undocumented before January 1st of this year. So yeah, if you're currently in limbo because you're undocumented, there's now a pathway to citizenship that takes 8 years, not freaking 20-something years or whatever.
Yeah. I think the one that McCain and Frank tried to introduce way back during the Bush years was
like
15 years. Yeah, it was. No, it was Todd Frank.
Dodd-Frank.
I remember it was called the Todd.
Sorry. Barney Frank.
Barney Frank. Yeah, I believe it was or it might have been the Dodd. No, McCain Dodd. So Dodd.
So Chris Dodd.
Yeah, the one who ran for president in 2008 as well. Him. It was the McCain Dodd bill, and I only reason I'm kind of like know a lot about it is because I wrote a paper on it. So, but yeah, theirs was like I believe 15. And actually, I think the fallout from that ended up being DACA. Like that eventually transformed into DACA. So DACA.
We have to do something for them. Yeah. So they did DACA.
So my question is, if you know much about it, is this the same thing where it's mostly talking about students, or it's talking about like basically everybody? Is that as close as amnesty as we're talking about?
From what I've heard, it's everybody. It's not specific to students. It's if you are undocumented and you've been here since before 2021, we will provide a path to citizenship for you. It's almost certainly going to fail amongst Republicans,
of course.
Which leads me to a point, right? I know it's going to fail amongst Republicans because they have this idea that if you have more immigrants or if you have more brown people, then that is increasing the voter base for Democrats. But it's one of those things that's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy. The reason it is increasing the voter base for Democrats is because brown people feel like you're the anti-brown people party because you do things like this. So how are you going to want brown people? I'm saying brown people just to encompass Black people, Hispanics, everything. So I don't
Well, I
want
mean,
to.
when you're saying brown people, I know you're talking about yourself being African
Yeah,
immigrant. You're talking about me. You're talking about Middle Easterns. I know you're
yeah,
talking about Indians. All those different
yeah.
types.
So you want brown people to vote for you, or at least you don't want to increase the number of brown people that will vote for Democrats. But by doing this, by constantly being on the side of anti-immigration, you're just telling them that, hey, if we lose this short-term battle, when you guys are citizens, vote against us. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And I don't know why they don't get it. Why they don't just come out on the side of it, and maybe they can actually siphon some of those votes for themselves.
You know how Africa loves George Bush, despite the fact that America hated George Bush a lot.
Yes.
A lot of Hispanics love George Bush because George Bush was not cynical. He was not. He did not view us as villains like most of the GOP does.
George Bush
And what I mean by that is immigrants of Hispanic nature, because he grew up in Texas.
And he backed that plan.
I think he speaks some Spanish too.
He backed that immigration plan you were talking about earlier.
He did. He backed that up.
It was his own party that killed it.
And it's not only that I'm not an immigrant. I was born in Dallas. I mean, I guess I am, right? I was born in Dallas, but I'm not an immigrant. I'm not an immigrant. I always say I'm immigrant adjacent because my mother is an immigrant. My father is an immigrant. I have family members. My wife was an immigrant, so I'm immigrant. I'm engulfed in it. So it doesn't matter if people say that it's about status. Maybe to them it is, but it's not about the legal status. It's not about the American status or whatnot. It's about the race. It is. It's about the race. It's about the xenophobia. That's what it's about. Immigration is one of those code words, like illegals. You're basically calling us something. What's it called? Remember when Richard Sherman said that that thug is the new N-word?
Yes.
It's a code.
I mean,
we know what you're doing. We know what you're talking about.
They dropped some of that code during the Trump years when they were talking about the caravan of migrants that are coming to infest the country. Yeah. They were talking about infestation.
And this is the one thing they refuse to acknowledge. Immigrants, illegal and legal. And I hate saying illegal. I prefer undocumented. Documented and undocumented immigrants. They bring in billions. Back then it was what? 2 point something billion. I guarantee you it's closer to the trillions now. Because they're like, oh, well, they come here, they work, and then they send their money back. I was like, yeah, but they still got to eat here.
Yeah.
They still got to eat here. So you don't think they're spending money here?
They got to eat here. They got to raise a family here.
And then that's what I was about to say. They end up raising family here because, one of the big things back in the day was about assimilation. I remember there was a judge who was, or some lawyer was saying something to a judge about assimilation, like, oh, they refuse to assimilate. And then the judge was like, this is back like in the 60s, 50s, right? He's like, these kids are speaking nothing but English. They're not speaking any Spanish. Yeah. What do you mean they don't assimilate? Yeah. We assimilate, right? You don't have, where's your accent, sir? We assimilate. Right?
I mean, their favorite ball players are Babe Ruth and Mickey Mantle and all that. You're talking about 50s and 60s. They're not, thinking, oh, I'm only going to support, if it's a Cuban immigrant, I'm only going to support Cubans. I'm only going to support Mexicans. No, their kids, especially, are as American as they come. But then you have one of the two major political parties hell-bent on demonizing these people forever and ever, and I just don't get it. I don't get how they can't see that they are killing their own party by constantly being on the side of, we're against anything that will give you some sort of dignity.
And that's why they try to do the whole, no longer allowing people, if you were born of immigrants, you don't have citizenship automatically. So it would have been like me when my mother was illegal or undocumented. I was born in her, then I wouldn't have been able to get my citizenship. That was one of the reasons they did that, was just because they wanted to prevent them from becoming voters. But the thing is, though, I don't know why they keep saying that there will no longer be a majority after a while. And I was like, no, there'll be a majority. It's just like the majority will no longer be white. So that's why they keep saying there'll no longer be a majority. The majority will most likely be Hispanics.
They said the white folks won't be they say it will be a majority minority country, meaning that white votes might have the plurality. They might be like 47% of the population, but the other 53% will comprise of all the colored folk, right? So, which is what
honestly,
they're
that's
afraid
not
of.
really the case. Trust me, Hispanics will keep popping up. And actually, no, that might actually slow down after a while, because what ends up happening is when you come and you're poor, you end up having more kids. Like, that's just how it always is, right? You know, Irish immigrants were doing it. They were having like 11, 13 kids. You know, Italian immigrants were doing it. Right now it's Hispanic immigrants. But once Hispanic immigrants get assimilated into this, and like eventually they probably figure out something about the immigration issue, then it might slow down. But the biggest voting block after a while will probably be Hispanics. And then it's up to them to make sure that, do you want to be left behind or not?
So what are your thoughts on the idea? It's still being fleshed out. I mean, this came out like maybe earlier today, so there's still a lot to learn about it. But what are your thoughts on it? Do you think it's a telling thing that it's literally the first non-COVID thing that the Biden administration has chosen to focus on? What are your thoughts?
So as far as the non-COVID part, that's actually surprising. You're right. Actually, you know, you would think it'd be something about, you know, getting cancellation of
student loans or something.
Student loans, and that, or you know, UBI maybe, you know, something along those lines. But it's still an economic thing.
Mm-hmm.
Once somebody becomes documented, now you can tax them.
Mm-hmm. That's
more money into the economy. That's more money towards the government. So it's still an economical thing. And then too, I think moralistically, it's the right thing to do. It's like these people come, we come here, and the thing is though, we come here and we're loyal to this country. It turns out that immigrants half the time are more patriotic than who was the ones that did an insurrection against their own country.
All right. Yeah.
You know?
Who were the ones that brought in a flag of an enemy nation into the capital, right? Because the Confederacy was an enemy nation. I don't care what anyone else says about it. They were the enemy.
No, it is.
So you can fly it and say your heritage or your history. They were the enemy nation.
It is no different than what's it called? Than somebody storming the German capital with the Nazi flag.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was they were traitors. And it's just it's moralistically, it's right to go ahead and we gotta do. Who said this? I don't know if it was Obama who said this, or it might have been Hillary Clinton who said this. Back in 2008 when Barack Obama got voted in, it was one of them two. They said, like, these people are here. We can't get we're not deporting 2 million plus people, mm-hmm. or not even 2 million. It's like what, 200 million. Like the numbers go up.
It's a lot. Yeah.
They go, well, it's funny because it goes from like 2 million, and then they say sometimes it's like 200 million. And I'm like, whatever the numbers, you're not gonna. How does that change us from? We already look like Nazi Germany when having
cages,
refugee seekers in cages down at the border.
Yeah.
What are we gonna look like rounding people up? You know? And then I always tell people, immigration, the issues with immigration is the fault of America. Mm-hmm. What I mean by that, one, we destabilize a lot of these countries, right? You can't tell me that Africa hasn't been destabilized by the colonizers, you know. So, and it's not just Europe; it's America itself. Like they destabilized so many African countries. Latin America is continuously destabilized by America, and then you have certain issues like MS-13. I don't know if you know much about MS-13. They were a California-based gang. They were California kids from El Salvador who went up to California. They were Metallica fans. That's the reason why their gang sign is the rock sign, right? What ends up happening? You bring up you start arresting them. Instead of leaving them contained in America, you're like, oh, we don't want to deal with this issue. So you send them over to El Salvador. Now they become stronger. Now that they're the world's most dangerous gang, right? That's America. They created them, right? You also create these these programs that go way back to World War II. All the men went and fought in World War II, right? Who comes in? It wasn't all women who took over the factory. Mm-hmm. Who did you get to come over? You created a Braquero program and had Mexican immigrants come and work for you. What happens once they all come back? We don't need you anymore. So you send them back. But the problem is, I've been here for 4 years. Like, you really think I'm going to leave?
Yeah. You said
You know?
they created a what program?
They called it the Barquero program.
What's that mean?
And then guess what? Guess what they created to send them back? Guess what that program was called?
I don't.
Operation Wetback.
Oh wow. Okay.
Exactly. So it's just like immigration. The immigration issue is America's sin.
Mm-hmm.
So they need to rectify it. So honestly, you'll never tell me that. If they said it was amnesty, I'd be like, all right.
Okay. Cool. So it's a good thing. Do you think it's a good thing that they're approaching or trying to?
You feel bad. Let me tell you how I really feel.
Yeah. No. I'm glad you went into it. I mean, I learned quite a few things just then. All right. Cool. So that's their first non-COVID thing, because COVID obviously had to be the first thing. It's the thing that's like ever present in our lives. But the fact that they have decided to go with this, I think it's telling that they want to make a real effort towards like finally hitting this thing that we've been trying to hit for the better part of this side of the 21st century from the Bush days. Well, yeah, since Reagan. But I mean, as far as like a president actually really trying to do it, we know Bush tried to do something, Obama tried to do something. So yeah, okay, cool. I think that covers our politics section. Nothing else to add?
Ted Cruz is a cuck? No.
Okay, cool. All right, so that's politics. And entertainment.
Oh, no, hold on, real quickly. Just because we don't care. Rush Limbaugh's dead. Whatever, let's go.
Okay, yeah, Rush Limbaugh passed away. All right, so entertainment. Yeah,